Hey everybody, welcome to the Infinite Regression. And, normally I'm like, hey, it's a place of no hope and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to skip that for reasons that would be pretty obvious. Anyway, we're just going to hop on in here. Badger World 2.0. Um, Now, this is going to be one of those things where if you've seen the previous Minecraft episode, you'll be like, what? He did some things? Like, I guess my mine is bigger than when I left it, and I have copper steps halfway up. Um, and I've got boop a doop a doop a doop a doop boop boo boo doo 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 doo. Yeah, this monstrosity. Hey, stupid doggy, you stay still. Does anyone out there actually like keep their Minecraft dogs around? Because here I'm gonna go out like this is something I found interesting is that a student has started building out this way. They said they were terraforming, and it looked like they were, but the way this student plays, normally there would be like a massive structure here right now if that was working out, which I guess maybe it's not. Because, hold up. Yep, just me. Just me in the Minecraft. So yeah. Boop boop ba doo ba doo ba doo doo doo. We both have very um bland, boring beds. Oh geez, I'm letting it get dark. Well, I guess I can sleep in a friend's bed. Well, a student's bed. That doesn't sound right outside the context of Minecraft. But yeah, maybe we'll just play in lava and that'll be. Wait a minute. Hold up. Is this in the shape of something? This seems not randomly digged. I wonder if there's some like craft to that. Something going on maybe. Oh, I better get over to this bed. Cause yeah, the signs say like, "Hey, don't mess around on this land. I'm terraforming." It says, "Don't disturb the land," and so I just came and I put a sign on it that says, "I saw the land and I was disturbed." But I was disturbed before the. Oh, oh, what's that in the distance? Oh, that's my halfway done castle that I'm building. I was just building a castle. It's a whatever. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, it's a very normal castle. The kind that you find in places that have them, okay? So don't get weird about it. Anyway, it's not even that like Minecraft people build way cooler stuff than this all the time, but like I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm normally just to go down in the mine and mine it out and make that happen. That's normally my speed. That's normally what I do. But the fact that I, built this thing and I want to like there's some fixes that I have planned. Anyway, which is going to take some cutting down of trees and stuff, which we will do eventually here. Anyway, hello, Mr. Buzzy Buzzy Bee. Yeah, see, I've got a honey one. And guess what? It happens to be in the most flowery area. And that's where there are, yeah, the bees come. So I bet if I plant one in here, actually, we could test that theory. So I do have saplings. If I've got anything, I've got saplings. Anyway, so we'll see when that pops into existence? Will it be a honey tree? And I'll just be a little black rain cloud hovering over the honey tree. Anyway, speaking of black rain clouds, hey everybody, like let me just get down to it. Like I am doing this episode as tour. This is being done for one reason and one reason only. Just to talk about mental health. Because apparently me constantly talking about my mental health isn't like clear enough. And I'm not trying to make this about myself here. Like, I understand, like, I am an ancillary figure in what I'm about to be talking about. Like, I am definitely to the side and out of view when it comes to what we're going to be getting into. But, like, but yeah, like, this is something that I've been talking about for a while. With a lot of people, and there are, quite frankly, people who get tired of it, who are like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, we've heard this talk before. Like, could you please stop this? I've had people say that to me because of, like me just constantly talking about it. Like, mental health is freaking important. And I don't care how many times you've heard me say it. Like, it's freaking important. Let me just tell you some things. When I was in high school, I had like one of my very closest friends, like the one that I was probably spending the most time with at that time. His little brother, who I was also very close with, because he was only a year younger than me, and I was friends with a lot of his friends, and we were involved in things that his brother wasn't. I was in classes with him that his brother wasn't in. Anyway, so like I knew him also, and knew him pretty well, and was a good friend, a reasonably good friend with him. We hung out, we spoke. Like I won't say we're best friends or anything, that would be a lie, but like to say that we were not friends would also be a lie. So like yeah, it's just that I was so much closer with his older brother is all. But yeah. So yeah, this friend of mine from high school killed himself. And he it is really, really sad. Like he there was a family, like his best friend's family was really really close with him, and they were like a second family to him. Sorry if my speech is stilting at all. I'm just rummaging through memories. Oh God, I didn't know you were out and about. It scared the crap out of me. Yeah, well, save it. Anyway, freaking Enderman, I don't need to hear from you. Anyway, so yeah, like this family was like a second family to him, and so yeah, in much the same way that the friend of mine, um, I'm trying to keep names out of it, and I can't keep track of it. I'm like, oh, his name was Dan, and his brother's name was Steve. Like I can't keep track of as many fake names as will be needed by the time I'm done talking about this. So I'm not gonna try with fake names, and I'm crying out loud. It's like he's asking for me to murder him. Anyway, boom. Anywho's it's. So yeah, he had this like his best friend, um, whose family he was very close with, and his best friend had like he was the oldest, and he was high school aged, and he had a couple of siblings who were really young, like between 3 and 5 years old, like two kids somewhere between, like maybe, yeah, somewhere like maybe 2 and 6, somewhere between, like tender young age, like just, you know, able to form memory, but still like really young to where you feel bad with what I'm about to tell you. Because like they looked up to this kid, the little brother of my friend, um, who was also my friend, but like not as close as his brother, admittedly. Um, anyway, like he went over to this family's house when he knew they were out of town, and he went Kurt Cobain style. Um, gun in his mouth, toe on the trigger, and he was found by the kids when the family got back from a vacation out of town. And that was hard. I was like, just to give you an in to like know how close I was with this family. Like, there were all these people coming over because it's a small town and it's a massive tragedy. And, all these people bringing casseroles and wanting to talk and all this stuff. And the mom, my friend's mom, did not want any of this. Like, all the people who were coming over, she was like, no, 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 no. Like, please give us space. Like, we need space. But she let me stay. She not only let me stay, she asked me to stay. And I think it was because she knew that I could be a comfort to my friend who had just lost his brother. And that, like, I was close with all of them. And, like, that in many ways they were like a second family to me. Like, very sweet people. And yeah, terrible thing to happen to them. And yeah, you can feel however you want about these things. Hold up, like, I gotta get some water. My throat's getting all dry. Hold up, just 1 second. Okay. Um. So, yeah. From what I understand, and believe me, I did not ask the family and would not presume to ask such things. And so, just having heard hearsay here and there, um, I heard that uh that this friend of mine who killed himself, that he had substance abuse problems that he was trying to cope with, and it didn't go well, obviously. But also, I believe he had, some pretty deeply seated mental health issues. I mean, obviously, because I hate to say it and sound, callous or uncaring, but like, um, suicide is the most serious mental health ailment you can have. Suicidal thoughts, but worse, like, I mean, granted, who doesn't get suicidal thoughts from time to time? Um, we've talked about the Kierkegaard thing where it's like, you stand on the edge of a cliff and you think, oh, I could jump off. You don't think I should or that I will. You just think I could. Like, that's just perfectly normal. But like these persistent ideas that, like, I should kill myself, that thought, that one, um, is it is a mental illness. Like it like that does not come from a properly functioning brain. We all have a survival instinct that will push us to survive, even in circumstances where survival is difficult, if not sometimes almost impossible. But we push ourselves. I just wanted to see with the center line. We push ourselves to survive against the odds as much as we can, as often as possible. Yeah, that's the look. That's the look right there. Okay. I got it. It looks more circular. Like, all this time I've been trying to crack the code on how to make my towers look more circular, and I think we finally did it. Anyway, who cares? Minecraft builds, meh. Who because what we're talking about is of much greater importance than that. Uh, okay. It is. It just is. So deal with it. You know. Um. Anyway. So yeah, I have seen kind of from the inside what suicide does to a family. I hadn't thought there was another one that I thought of today. Had not thought of for a long time. Where it was, there was this family who they were basically hillbillies. Like, in a town full of rednecks, they were hillbillies. And there is a difference. Like, there is a distinct difference. It is kind of hard to parse out the difference between a redneck and a hillbilly, but like, it, those of you, if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't. Like, let's just put it that way. Um and so yeah, these people were straight up hillbillies, and don't go in my house, you silly pig. You're not allowed. Anyway, um so yeah, these folks, these yokels, these silly gooses were straight up hillbillies, and like, they they were crazy. Like, they were nuts. Like, like, you ever, like, whenever you heard about someone pulling a crazy stunt in town, you knew it was one of these kids who did it. Just because, like, you knew that they were there, you knew that they were involved. It's like, oh, somebody did a crazy thing that, nobody thought anybody with any sense in their brain would do. Oh, well, we know who did it. Like, and not even necessarily things that were, like, illegal or bad or anything of the sort. Like, don't think of it like that. Just, like, goofy stuff that nobody else but a hillbilly would do. And once again, if you know the difference between your hillbilly and your redneck, then you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so yeah, one of the sons in this family clearly had issues with his sexuality, like, clearly. And I didn't know this family. Like, it was one of those small town things where, like, everybody, but, like, there are people that you really know on a, like, we are, like, super tight homie style. Like, we are good in the hood. Like there are people like that, and then there are people who are like, I know you. Like, I know you, I know where you're from, I know your people. like like that kind. Anyway, yeah, these were more the second variety. They weren't like, cuz my former best friend who died this year due to COVID. And he's a former best friend for, like, I don't know, reasons. Like, he's dead now, and so we don't need to, like, sully the air with talk of bygone nonsense. Well, I mean, it wasn't nonsense at the time. It isn't now. Like, there were people involved and things happened that I would prefer had not. But, whatever. What is done is done. And the thing is, like, but this friend of mine, we knew each other, like, literally from diapers. Like, we knew each other for so freaking long. And that just kind of went into the framework of us being friends, is that we had known each other that long and that well. So yeah. Anyway, boop ba doop. Got it. Come on. Anyway, but as I was saying, okay, just had to like finish that tower business. As I was saying, like, there was a member of that hillbilly family who, and I hope they don't mind me calling them hillbillies. Like, I don't think they would. I didn't name them, but anyway, still, it might, like, indicate who I'm talking about. Uh, but yeah, like, this member of that family who clearly struggled with his sexuality, he killed himself. And I didn't know that until, like, I happened to be at the church for another function, and we were like, wait, what is this funeral? Who died? And that's when I found out, because that family had moved away and they came back because that's where, their son had the greatest connection, knew the most people, was most beloved, was most well known. and so that's where they had him buried. And so like we yeah, uh, it was actually my former best friend, the one who died of COVID, um, and I who showed up at that funeral. Oh, I still have to do the dingus. Uh, anyway. Oop, thunderstorm. I can go sleep it out. Anyway, good, because I don't like rainy times to be building. But yeah, like watching, at least from afar, another family that I knew go through that. And then this last year, uh, a guy that I grew up with, and this one, man, this one kind of rough, because it speaks to not just needs for mental health care and, you know, us taking care of us. Wait, where is that friggin' spider coming from? You know, self care and all of that, like all that entails. Okay, you jerk. I hate you and want you to be dead. And please be dead. Do I still have my ladder? No, I took my ladder down. Anyway. I have no arrows. Anyway. Regardless, I just need to come in here and work. It's not like that time I got a creeper trapped in here and he wouldn't leave and I couldn't get in the doorway fast enough to get space to hit him without him starting to hiss. That was a real pain in the neck. Oh, son of a biscuit. Forgot to count up how many I have. Oh, and I've got... oh, that's going to be a pain in the booty. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the booty. Okay, this one's going to be a pain in the booty for many reasons. Yeah, obviously that's my doorway. Wait, oh, this freaking guy, I can go get him. Though he also might get me. At this height, yeah, I don't know if I'll survive. I do have armor, but I've been falling a lot lately because I've been building this stupid thing, so I haven't looked at what my armor is. Are you messing with me, dude? Oh, thank God. Thank God his previous hits were enough. Okay. Oh, crap. Now I gotta find... Oh, it should be over here. Whoop. Did you ever get that thing where you are playing Minecraft and you are fully aware that you are playing Minecraft, but you still are like, boy, I'm up on a high place. I hope I don't fall. I don't want to hurt myself. Doink. There we go. Now I just need to wait. Is it? I think it's gonna be these two. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I need to do the same on this side. Only have a ladder on this side to make it easier. Okay. Well, actually, I'll still need to take down the other ones, so ladder don't matter. Anyway, yeah, I was about to tell you about suicide last year. Okay, so there was a kid who I grew up right across the street from, or well, I mean, kind of kitty corner across the street from, but like across the street from, close enough to where like, you know, I could easily go to his house and my parents wouldn't care. Like, that close. Um anyway, so yeah, when he graduated high school, he went into the military. And that's all fine and good. Military's a solid choice. And I was just about to say I hadn't seen Pillagers in a while. Oh, these fools are gonna get it. If I had a shield, I would do even better. But like, as tis, I think it'd do fine. Look at me. This is what we call fine. Fine and dandy. Anyway. So, yeah. I got a bad omen on me. Oh, dang. So my friend went into the military. And, this is all fine and good. The time when he went in, America was not at war because that's how old I am. Anyway, so he went into the military and he served multiple tours of duty in Afghanistan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I only need 2 more, but I'm going to probably need more wood than that. Anyway, so he served multiple tours of duty in Iraq, or in Afghanistan. Don't get them confused. They were both equally pointless wars that we fought for no reason that ended up worse than when we started. Anyway, awesome. We did great. America, frick yeah. Anyway, so my friend went into the military. 9/11 happened. The world changed overnight, and we went to war. And we were at war for a freaking long time. And if you were a soldier as your profession, the chance that you were going to be spending time, getting involved in these pointless wars, pretty good, actually, as a matter of fact. Not leaving them all on the home front. Not all of them in the rear with the gear, as they say. And so my friend saw some action. Now, what I'm about to tell you is what I have been told. This is not confirmed by any other information that I have other than someone who is close to me, who is also close to this friend of mine, told me this, and it's possible that they have bad information, but this is not the sort of person who would lie about this, nor would they fabricate or tell more than it is when talking about the death of someone that we both care about quite a bit. Anyway, so yeah, this good friend of mine that I grew up with, right across the street for a long time, for most of my life, actually, and I, we both stayed in the same houses that we were in from like, he moved in when I was like, I don't know, 6, and stayed there, like his mom still lives there, you know. So, yeah. It's like my parents don't even live there anymore. Anyway, sorry. I just catch myself thinking about these things. Anyway, so this guy that I knew so very well, and he was such a good person. Like, he was so kind and so generous with his time, with his things, with his like people say, would give you the shirt off his back, but like I think this guy, you could actually get him to do it, you know, because he was literally that kind. Thought of others before he thought of himself, always. Just one of the kindest, nicest people that I had ever known. And anyway, so while he was serving in Afghanistan, this is the part of the story that I cannot verify, but that I have from a very good source. So he was a helicopter pilot, and his helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan, and it crashed Black Hawk Down style in an area where there was where enemy combatants were converging on his location. But the thing was, his was not the only helicopter on this particular mission. And so the other aircraft swung back around to help him out and to retrieve him, or retrieve any survivors. He was the lone survivor of this accident. And, well, accident, active aggression, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we're in their country. So, yeah, were they aggressive? Sure. Did they have a right to be? That's for the history books to sort out. But, anyway, yeah. So this friend of mine is shot down, and enemy converging on his location. Also, his own members of his own unit also turning back around to come in an attempt to try and retrieve him. Now, as it happened, the enemy combatants that came upon him and were prepared to kill him, apparently, were children, were really young. And when help arrived, that help saw these enemy combatants and mowed them down in front of him. Children, essentially. And we do know that, unfortunately, in situations such as these, it's not uncommon that children get involved. It's terrible, but it does happen, and we know that it does. And so, first of all, the fact that he was the lone survivor, survivor guilt is real, and it is something that you really, really have to deal with. I know, like I know someone who accidentally gave COVID to their father. Like they were the person who brought COVID into the home, and their father got COVID and died. And no one blames them, but they blame themselves. So survivor guilt is real, and it is insanely painful, and I just I can't help but wonder what it's like for someone who sees other people die where they survive, and you're left to wonder, like, why me? Why do I get to keep on living? I don't see my life as more valid than theirs. Why is mine the one that goes on and theirs the one that ends? People feel that, and it's painful. And so certainly that had to be working on my friend. I didn't know that this had happened to him, by the way, because it's not like it's the sort of stuff that just comes up, when you haven't seen each other in a few years, and you just see each other casually around town, and you're like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, how you doing? You don't say like, oh, well, I saw child soldiers mowed down in front of my very eyes, and I'm the sole survivor of a terrible crash that I was the pilot of, and how did I save myself but didn't save any of the other men on board? Like, that's not what you say in a casual conversation. So, like, yeah, I didn't know this from him. I didn't know that this had happened to him. I saw him after this had happened. And, I wish I could say that I saw, a drastic change in his face, or that, that there was some great sign that I should have picked up on, but didn't. But there was not. There wasn't. There wasn't. He was his normal, kind, generous, selfless self. And, and it was lovely to see him, and that was that, and it was years later, years after this happened. I don't know how many years, I don't remember. But I know that he hasn't been deployed recently, or he wasn't deployed the year that he took his own life. Like, I know that he wasn't deployed then. Oh, this was the one that was supposed to be Honey, but I guess not. Maybe we'll find another spot. Maybe we'll put it right, like, here. Anyway. But, yeah. He didn't get the help that he needed, and he couldn't shake his demons, and he disappeared for a while. And I had people call me and ask me if I had seen him. And I said, no, I don't even think he knows where I live right now, because I only saw him when we were both back home in our hometown. That's the only times I ever saw him. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know if he knows where I live with my family as an adult. because he's always moving around some base or another, and like I'm where I am, you know, and hours away from my hometown, but not impossibly far away. Uh, anyway, so yeah, like uh, people asked me if I knew where he was, and I said no, but I could tell that something terrible either had happened or was going to happen, because of how people sounded when they asked me. And so yeah, um it wasn't very long after that they found his body, and and he had ended his own life because he couldn't shake those demons. And I know that, yeah, shaking demons, a very cliche. What? Did you see that? I just moonwalked through that door. Anyway, um, sorry. Uh, but yeah, like, here's the most messed up thing. If you want to know the most messed up thing about suicide, buckle up, Buttercup. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But if you don't know this, you should know this. Um, is that people are at their greatest risk for suicide, not when they're acting all depressed, because I get depressed. You can't do anything when you're depressed. Like, when you're depressed, you can't make and carry out plans, to put it bluntly. Like, that's the difference. So when someone who is the kind of depressed, who has the kind of mental illness that makes them to where those safeguards, those mental safeguards that are normally in place that tell us, hey, you want to stay alive, you want to survive. When those things go, um, it's a terrible sign. It's a terrible thing to happen to someone, but like, you're not going to always see what I'm trying to tell you. You're not always going to see it. You're not always going to recognize it, because just because that's the way it is. Oh wait, I'm not doing the crown yet. You know, so let's say someone has been struggling in silence with suicidal thoughts, and they've been depressed, and you've seen them be depressed, but you don't know that they're suicidal. It's common. It's unfortunately common. So they seem to you very down in the dumps, very like they're just not holding it together very well. Things are not going well for them, and you can see it and you can feel it. Come on. Keep forgetting that I'm this is the last one, and then I do the crown. Anyway, you can see their depression, you can understand it, you can tell them things. You can be like, hey, buddy, let's be pals and go bowling or something and get you out of this house and get you moving and, feeling good again. And, let's say by some miracle you do get him out of the house and get him bowling and whatnot. Hooray for you. Then a little bit later, you see him and he looks better. He seems happier. He seems more together. Well, guess what? In suicide land, that is someone who is at a greater risk of killing himself. Okay. So, I want you to think about this. First of all, how crazy would you have to be? Hold up. Actually, there is a specific way that we have to do this. Can't just go off willy-nilly. We are crown level. So crown has to start centerpiece over here. Then over here. Then over here. Yeah. Anyway. See, this crown doesn't get it. Anyway. This crown does. Anyway, so the sides won't get it, but the backs will. Anyway, interesting. Sorry. I'm just looking at patterns that I am involved in creating. Anywho's it's see, yeah, sides don't get it. When I say don't get it, I mean the center block that I put in. That the raised block doesn't go on the center blocks over there. Anyway, that's what I mean. Okay. Anyway, so your hypothetical friend who you tried to oh scheisse. Well, that's why I was worried about my armor earlier. Anyway, let's take a look at it. Meh. Yeah, the boots have taken a little bit of a hit. Anyway, we survived it. It's not too tall. But let's get these ladders off of here. Okay. Okay. Wait. Nope. There we go. That one. Okay. Anyway. Think about how crazy it would seem if every time you had a friend who seemed a little down, if you were like, "Hey, buck up there, buddy." And then when they bucked up, you would be like, "Do you have a plan? Are you suicidal?" Like, because everybody goes through ups and downs. Everybody. And it's 2022. You're probably depressed. You probably are. Like, just freaking know it and deal with it and believe it. Like, just understand that fact. Most people who are alive right now are probably anxious and depressed because it's an anxiety-inducing, depressing freaking time. It's just what it is. My God, that's majestic. I think I need to get majestic in front of it. My God. So majestic. I forget how to screenshot. Nope, I didn't forget how to screenshot because I just screenshotted it. Anyway, sweet. Wait, boo. Oh, maybe we do one of these bad boys like, gangsta. Rolling up on me in my crib. Wait, why do I have the bread? Actually, it'd be more accurate if I have the axe. Anyway, boom. You may see these screenshots or a version of this screenshot right here on this channel at some point. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, Suicide Watch. Real Suicide Watch knows that someone on Suicide Watch who tells you, like, hey, man, I feel fine. Like, I'm good. But, like, I'm good, though, is someone to watch. Because that's when it tends to happen the most, which is terrible. I mean, my God, think about what that means. This is rough to think about, but sometimes we have to face down these uncomfortable truths about the world. So, anyway. Just going to come down here and I'm just going to mine for the rest of this time. Okay. Talking about people that I know who have killed themselves. Yeah. So, let me get to it because we're an hour in and I might as well say this. Like, we can add to that list. A former student of mine, a former honors student of mine, which means that I had them twice. So yeah, this former student of mine, killed himself last week. And I didn't know. Right here in the town where I am right now. And I didn't know because the people who connect me to that student are all graduated. Because he's a former student, not a current student. A current student, we would have had a special meeting called the phone tree would have been activated and all of that, because then we would have to be on the lookout for our current students, you know. Anyway, ha 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 ha. Good times. Anyway, this thing is entirely too full. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, know this and understand this. So I lost a student, and I didn't find out about it until today. I've seen my students go off and do things. You know, I have students who are married to each other now. I have students who are married to each other who have kids. I have former students who have a few children now, which just means that these people are having way too many babies way too fast. I mean, I did not teach them that long ago. But Yeah, I'm thinking of the couple of young rapscallions who, because their parents were like, we don't like you being in this relationship with each other. We think you're a bad influence on each other. And they were like, let's get you pregnant so that parents can't tell us that we can't be together anymore. And now those people have like 3 kids now. They have at least 2. At least 2. So, it's not 0 kids, and it's not just the one that they had on purpose. It is also an extra added kid since then. And the original kid is like a human being that walks around and talks and stuff. It's crazy. Um anyway, but yeah. So I have had students do all kinds of things. I have a former student serving prison time right now for having stabbed some people who were trying to prevent him from stabbing his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, and one of the people that he stabbed was a current student at the time. Like, I had a student come back and he was, all stitched up. And I was like, oh my God, what happened to you? And he's like, you don't know? And I'm like, no. And he said, well, this kid, and he named former student that I worked so freaking hard with to try and get him to a better life, you know, tried so hard to help him to like think of himself as worth more and as capable of more, you know, uh kid that, just a lot of time and energy by a lot of people, I honestly, 2 of my colleagues were like, if it wouldn't be ridiculous and borderline impossible, we would adopt this kid just so we could like get him help and get him into a stable position where he can, live a half decent life, right? That kid is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, is sitting in prison right now because he stabbed some people and was trying to stab his ex-girlfriend. Awesome. Not awesome. I don't know if that's a thing that requires sarcasm. But I've also had former students like, oh my God, okay, so I have there's this couple of students where like, she's this like pale-faced, red-headed white girl, and he's this, brown-skinned, like handsome, chiseled, like young Hispanic guy, and Mexican guy, and she's like the whitest white girl ever, but he was so in love with her. And when I did a unit on poetry, like he wrote this poem about how lucky he is to be with the most beautiful woman in the world. And I was like, oh my God, you really love her. Like, that's so freaking adorable. Those 2 are married now. Like, they got married, and I could not be happier for them. Like, I have some students who make choices, and I'm like, oh, you are wrecking your life. And I have other students who make choices, and I'm like, oh, so glad for you. Another former student whose parents live right across the street from us. So every time he visits his parents, we see him, you know? It's amazing. It's awesome because it's a constant reminder, because he is one who was like such a great student that we loved so much, that we had so much fun with. And now he is getting a law degree. He's working on a law degree. Like, he's going big time, you know? And he's killing it in college, absolutely crushing it. And there's there's word on the street that he's engaged now. We have not met this person that he is engaged to, but like, so excited for him and his like rocket ship of a life, you know. And we have the letter that he wrote us, his graduation announcement. On the back, he wrote this lovely thing, handwritten, thanking us for being his teachers, and just, you know, so kind, so loving, so great. And yeah, like, just amazing. And we get to see this kid like go on to do great things, and it makes us so happy, you know. um and we see some of our students still kicking around town, working dead end jobs, you know. And I had one of them. I had a student who's working a dead end job straight up asked me, he said, "Do you think I can do better than this?" And I told him, I was like, "Look, I know that you want better than this." It was like, and and I told him, I was like, "We both know you can do better than this. Like, that's not a question. The question is, what are you going to do and how are you going to do it? And you come ask me for a letter of recommendation when you know the answer." And so, like, and I'm not even talking about the person, like, if the person who told me today, another former student of mine that I ran into just very randomly, who was the one who told me about this former student of mine, who has killed himself. And yeah. So yeah, the student who told me was so like, first of all, they were so happy to see us, you know, my wife and I. We are both teachers, and you know, and so we are both like, just we both have that incredible opportunity to connect with kids and to be a part of their life, as much as they are willing to let us, you know. And some it's more than others. And I will admit, you know, for this kid who killed himself, like, I I'm not, you know, the most amazing teacher he ever had. I didn't change his life. I didn't, you know, like, I'm saying I'm an ancillary figure at best. You know, I'm on the outside. I knew him, and we did have some talks, he and I. There was one time in particular I remember when he told me that it was a really interesting person to talk to, and I told him that he was a really interesting person to talk to, because he actually listened to what I was talking about outside of class hours. You know, those special conversations that teachers of honors students can sometimes have with honors students, because they're cut above, they get it, they're more mature, they understand things that some of their peers don't. And so you know, and it's just because of an emotional maturity. It's not because, like, he is of superior makeup or anything. No, nothing of the sort. Like, it's just that kids, they mature at different rates. They do. And I'm sure that whatever I was talking to him about, like, given time, any one of my students would be there with us. But I was impressed by him. I was impressed by his intellect. I was impressed by his curiosity. And I really liked him. And for a while there, he was dating a lot of my favorite students. Like, he dated several girls, and some of the girls that he dated were girls that, he dated these two girls who were, best friends. He dated them years apart from each other so that it not that weird, I guess. Anyway, but he dated both of them, and I had both of them from the time they were freshmen in high school. And they were the first class of drama students that I had from the time that they were freshmen until the time that they graduated. They were the first ones that I had all 4 years who saw all the changes that I made to that program to get it to where it is today, to get it to where, I'm happy with it and it's working the way that I want it. So the relationship that I had with these students was very special because they were there for some important building of me as a person, me as a teacher. And so, yeah, these are students who meant an awful lot to me. And that's the quality of person that he was dating. Now, granted, every one of those relationships did not end super well. Well, not every one of those relationships ended super well. I would be lying if I said that were the case. Anyway, and to be quite frank about it, like, there was a time a couple years back, like after he had graduated, he was dating another one of my drama students, someone that I had from the time that they were a freshman, and he was dating them when they were a senior and he was a recent graduate. And he did something stupid that ended their relationship. And, why am I holding on to stone tools? Like, I can just check them because I can just make more. Anyway, just looking at what I've got in here, and I don't know why I'm keeping some of it. Oak saplings, I don't need those. I need to plant oak. It's all around me, and I don't really use it that much. Anyway, okay, I need to keep one block of cobbled stone so I can make my next pickaxes and whatnot. Actually, I've still got 2 of them, so I'm going to keep that one. Anyway, but yeah, so this, oh, I gotta put those shovels in there. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. So this student made a mistake that young men will sometimes make, and it made me think less of him. It's a mistake that young men living today will make because of, phones being what they are and availability of technology and whatnot. like he made a mistake of that nature that like who knows what I would have done in his position, because I was not his age when the technology was there. And so, I can't sit too harshly in judgment, but I did lose a lot of respect for him at the time, because I was like, oh, come on, man, you're better than that. But it wasn't like a final judgment like, oh, you're a dirty dog of a person and you can never reclaim yourself. It was a like, I thought you were better than this. You should be better than this, you know? Uh, and if he had shown that he was better than that, then I would have been delighted. I would have been thrilled. I would have been happy. Um, and so, yeah, like I did lose respect for him before he died. But I wasn't putting a nail in his coffin. And it wasn't like, also, here's the thing to know. Like, I was perfectly cordial around him every time I would see him, because he worked at a business that I frequent fairly frequently. That's, so when you have a former student working at a business that you go to on a regular basis and you see them there, you got to be like, hey, how you doing? Um, which I did, obviously. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, I heard what you did and you ought to be ashamed of yourself, because guess what? The girl that he done wrong, I guarantee you that she said that. There's no way that she would not have like let him know in no uncertain terms, like, hey, you messed this up as this is ending, and it is ending right now. Please know that it's because you messed this up. But you know what? Young guys mess things up. My first girlfriend, I didn't know how to end it. I didn't know how to end a relationship. And so I tried ghosting her, which wasn't even a thing at the time, but we had been dating like for a while. And she was my very first girlfriend, and she knew that she was my first girlfriend. And like, anyway, and she was really enamored with me, and I was not as into her as she was into me. That's just the way that it goes sometimes. Sorry. But anyway, I didn't know how to get rid of her. I was like, oh God, now I got this problem and I just can't get rid of her. And I remember, like, oh God, so stupid. But I remember her saying things like, you're just going to forget about me. You're just going to go other places, and other girls are going to be there, and you're just going to fall in love with them, and they're going to be better for you. And, like, I was trying to be the guy who's like, no, come on, no. Because if you say yes, then that's the end of the relationship. If you're like, yes, there will be other girls and they will all be better than you. Which I hate to say it, there were and they were. But like, that's just because I didn't know what I was doing. I was ending up with somebody that I wasn't suited for. Like, she was not well suited for me either. Like, we were young, we were dumb, we didn't know what we were doing. But she knew better than I did. And the fact that, like, anyway, but yeah, she was pushing on me with this stuff with, like, and granted, like, before I tell you this, like, she's not a completely innocent party in this relationship. She made me feel very self-conscious about myself. like she would often talk about like, oh, you don't have a strong jawline. And that's what I find the most attractive, is a guy with a really strong jawline. Like she wanted to be with like friggin' cartoon Dick Tracy or some nonsense. Anyway, um, but she would even point out other guys and be like, he has a strong jawline. I wish you had his strong jawline. And I'm like, girl, um, I'm in, good shape right now because it was a time in my life when I was in good shape, you know? And I was like, yeah, uh, I'm in good shape, and you are telling me that I am not, that I'm not good as a person, that what I'm bringing to the table is not good enough, when like everybody knows and everybody was talking about it, like that that I was the one dating below my station rather than she. That's how people talked about our relationship. Like friends pulled me aside and were like, don't be with her. Like she's not on your level, man. Like that's, you can do better. And and I didn't, cuz like anyway, I was always too like ridiculously shy with girls, and she was the first one who was just like very clear about it, who was like, I like you. I want to smash my mouth on your mouth. Um and I was like, sweet, I have not done that before. I would like to do that to you and have you do that to me in return. And then we did that for a while, and it was very exciting. And then uh and then she was like, she starts with the whole like, oh, other guys who are, better and stronger jawlines and whatnot than you. And I'm like, oh, you're breaking my spirit. Like, you're making me feel like I'm not good enough all the time, but then would also go on these like long tangents about like, oh, you're so much better than me. You're just going to forget about me, and you're going to leave me for some other girl. And at the time I was like, yeah, and I know who I would like that person to be, which is the person that, I should have gone for first. Hindsight being what it is. Anyway, regardless, like, let's not dwell in the past too long. But I tell you that to say that, like, this girl who deserved more, you know, uh, she was my first girlfriend. She, gave me that chance, and like, she broke down my barriers and like found a way in, whereas other people had not, because I was too like, it was too weird and like awkward, like this weird thing where I have performance mode because I'm a performer, and so I can be a performer and be like, haha, and I'm big and I'm funny and I'm fun to be around and exciting when you meet me, and people would be like, oh, hey now. And then they would get me one-on-one, and I would be awkward and stilted and wouldn't know what to say, and like that, because I'm more comfortable in front of a crowd in performance mode than I am in front of another human being honest. Um, so yeah, these are true words about life situations. Let's go upstairs pointlessly while that cooks. because there isn't much else that I want to do in this game, but there's so much more that I want to say because I'm only now coming around to the point, but I don't and save myself enough time to really say what I wanted to say. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so this girl was not the best to me and was not as nice and kind to me as she should have been. But still, was she chicken plop spider dies? Oh, interesting. Oh, because there would be spiders up on top of the house. Uh, anyway, uh, so yeah, like I made mistakes with this girl. And why did I make mistakes? Because I was young and I was dumb and I didn't know better yet. And there was time in which I could say, like, hey, maybe it seems like I should have known better, but I didn't. And I'm sorry, you know. And I actually had that conversation. I said basically those exact words to that girl a few years later when I ran into her again, and the damage had been done, and she's like, "Hey, I need closure on this." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, you do, and you deserve it. And I'm sorry that what happened is what happened." And I walked her through all the things, and I told her the truth, the absolute truth on everything. And gave her the closure. It was 3-4 years later, something like that, that I finally gave her that closure, and it was good for her, and it was good for me, and we both moved on, and our lives have been better, both of us. Um, but yeah, and I even thanked her for being, willing to be the first for such an odd person, who like is often hard to friggin' cope with. Uh, anyway, so yeah. Um, okay. But yeah, that was my first girlfriend, and I messed that up big time. And it hurt her. It hurt her bad. And I was wrong to do what I did. Because she deserved more and she deserved better. Even, with all the other crap in our relationship, like she deserved more and she deserved better. Like that's just facts, She's a human being. But like, I had to learn my lesson. I had to learn how to take the hard way and find out. And I'm sure that this kid uh took a hard lesson and found out. Like it wasn't like the. I'm not saying that this relationship that he had with another one of my students that ended in a bad way, because he had multiple relationships that ended in a bad way. I'm not saying that that was a cause. Um, but I am saying that, you know, I'm kind of giving myself permission to have like been disappointed, like, so you don't want to be disappointed in somebody who's dead. I had a student one time whose car got sideswiped by a truck, like a diesel truck. He had to be air evac'd. Like he almost died. Um, like very seriously, literally almost died. And so yeah, very, very serious accident that this kid was in. The last thing that I said to him before he got in that accident was, get the hell out of my classroom and don't come back until you've changed your attitude. That's what I said to this kid before, it would have been like if he had died, which he very easily could have. Those would have been the last words that I said to him. Um and you know what? With how like brash and arrogant he was when he came back after having almost died and was not changed in the slightest by the experience. I was like, you know what? I was right to have said what I said. You needed to change your attitude, and you still need to. Boy, kids, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with these kids? Anyway, so yeah, like, been through some things in my time, seen a thing or two, done a thing or two. You've heard me talk about it before, my own mental health issues. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I've been diagnosed. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 40. Why? Why not earlier? I don't know. Because I didn't. I could see it in other people, but I couldn't see it in myself. How about that? How about that for a fun, brain exercise? There we go. And then that'll get us like 8 steps. Nice. Boom. Anyway. So it'll take us up 4 more levels. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many more do I need? 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22. Because the 23 you'd be up by then. Anyway, yeah. So, ladies and gents, let's just get some things out there while I'm, trying not to dilly-dally. Okay, I have had my own mental health struggles, and they have been deep, and they have been depressing, and they have been hard. And everyone's journey is everyone's journey. It is not easy being whoever you are. Best of luck on making life whatever you can make it, whoever you are. Like that, honestly and sincerely. Like, we are all vessels on this crazy journey and doing the best that we can, and sometimes it's friggin' hard. And sometimes it's hard because we have chemical imbalances in our brain that make it freaking hard. And sometimes that's why it's hard. And sometimes it's hard because circumstances are difficult. And things that you do not have control over take over. And you are left unhappy, unfulfilled, unsatisfied. And you feel like life is not what was promised. Really? Here and now? Where are you, you dummy? Oh, there you are. I see it. Wait right there, you stupid. I'll come at you. Anyway. Whoa, wait. Behind me. Okay. Why? Oh, I didn't even need bread, dummy. Where's your friend? Where's the guy with the banner? Where is he? Really? No guy with the banner, huh? All right. Well, it's nighttime, so I'm going back inside. Boop. Badoop. Anyway, so I've had my own mental health struggles, and it's sometimes hard to see in yourself, but easy to see in other people. And sometimes you feel like you're beyond help. Guess what depression feels like? It feels like, to me, it feels different ways for other people, that everything is bad. This is never going to get any better. This is awful, and this is all there is. That's what depression feels like. If you feel that way, you're depressed. Seek help. And when I say seek help, some people definitely need professional mental health help. You do. And it's fine to need that. Because some people need it. And if it, like, I would love to be able to get it. I live in a rural area where, like, good luck getting such help, Anyway, so yeah. Oh, this just freaking goes. Yeah, that's right. Because, like, what is it? -63 is the new bedrock. So I guess deep slate is for the really actually deep, which is, I guess, better, but I really enjoyed building stuff out of it. It's the easiest black material to get in the game. Anyway, regardless. So yeah, depression, that's what it feels like. Anxiety is, I have no control over my life, and my life is not good, and I'm not happy with my life. And it can make you angry, and it can make you frustrated, and it can come out in weird sideways type ways. Anxiety, in a lot of ways, is a more tricky demon than depression is, because depression's, like, much easier to spot and to be like, oh, depression, like, that's, I know you. I've dealt with your kind before. Because depression is a kind of a thing that you can get, that it's not a permanent condition where you just feel down sometimes. Like, people who don't have any weird, like, chemical anything often feel down in the dumps for whatever reason. And yeah, that's totally normal. And so when you feel that way, that's what depression feels like. Only imagine having that and not being able to put any solid answer as to why, and not being able to see any reasonable way out. That's the chemical kind of depression, not the situational. Situational depression is what you have because you're alive in 2022. Chemical depression is what you have if you literally cannot shake those kinds of feelings. And you just have them all the time, regardless of circumstance, and you need medication and or therapy to get yourself out of that situation. That is the chemical type of depression. Really, there are only the two types: the one that arises from circumstance and the one that arises from the one that arises from circumstance and the one that arises from biology. And neither are fun to deal with, but they're easier to identify. Anxiety, like when you are just angry and you can't explain it, and especially when you are a guy and you just think like, oh, I have a bad temper. Like, just, you don't want to see me freak out. My temper is awful. Like, you think that that's what it is, but it might not even be that. Like, maybe you do have a bad temper. Some people probably do. But like, it could be friggin' anxiety coming out sideways because you feel a lack of control in your life, and then you exert an attempt to control anything through violence or anger. Yeah, sounds like anxiety. Anyway, yeah, just know that those are things. Know that it's normal to have those kinds of things. Know that we've gotten really, really good at treating those kinds of things. And you can get back to normal. You can get back to happy. You can get back to feeling good about life. You can. When you're in the throes of it, it's like, I don't have control and everything is bad. And when you have control over it, you feel almost exactly the opposite. Like, oh, I am in control and everything is good. Everything is fine. Even just fine, you're amazed by all of a sudden because you haven't been fine in so long. Yeah. Mental friggin' health. Take care of it. You have to take care of it. Because the alternative is not good. It's not acceptable. It's not something that you should have to deal with, and it's not something that your family, your friends should have to deal with. So my former student who committed suicide, who found his body, another former student of mine. They were roommates. They were really good friends, best of friends. And he's the one who found the body. Yeah. Like, to be found. My God. Like, look. It's one thing, like my older brother who died, there we go. He died almost a year ago. We'll be coming up on that, the anniversary of his death before too long. But yeah, he was found. His body was found, and it's traumatizing for someone to find you. It's traumatizing if you are found by someone who doesn't know you, but it is especially traumatizing to be found by someone who does. And you can multiply that by any number you wish. How traumatizing it is to find someone who has taken their own life. I have never done that, but I know people who have. And I've seen what it does to them. So, yeah, that's hard. That is something to deal with. And believe me, like there are things that people will say at funeral services for people who have died due to suicide. Um, you know, anyway, um, that you don't say to the family, obviously, but these are things that that people think, like, oh, how selfish was it that this person committed this very selfish act, not realizing how deeply it impacts other people, and so it's so selfish a thing to do to harm yourself in such a way. You know, uh, okay, I'm not saying that, and I don't want to say that. That's not a message that I think is either valid or worth expressing. Because look, for someone to overcome their body's own tendency to want to preserve itself, it takes a lot. That's not an easy thing to overcome. Not an easy, oh God, there's already creepers out. Not an easy sell. Like, hey, harm yourself. Like, yeah, not an easy sell. Um, oh God, can I make it back? But yeah, for someone to willingly harm themselves, obviously there is something wrong. Obviously something has gone wrong. Oh God, that scared the crap out of me. I don't know how close that bottle hit, but it sounded really close. And we run and we close the freaking door and we go jump into bed. Because I don't want to fight stuff right now. Sorry. I'm not in the mood for killing things, if you can tell. Anyway. But for you to be able to overcome your body's innate sense of self-preservation, you have to be feeling a type of hopelessness about your life that I have never felt, obviously, because if I had felt it, I might not be here to be able to have to be able to say anything about it. So, yeah, I'm here and I'm okay, I guess. Okay as I get, I suppose. Anyway. but yeah, it is hard to add anyone to the list of people that I have personally known who have ended their own life. Not a good list to be on, obviously. Obviously. And I feel so much for his family. I don't know. I don't know his family socially. Sorry that I don't. Like, I often wish that I did know my students' parents and families socially more than I do. But I don't. I can't pretend to know them well. But yeah, I can only imagine what they're going through. You know, I am a parent. I have 2 children, and one of those 2 children went through a phase where he would punish us if he was unhappy. He wanted everyone to be unhappy, so he would say things that he knew pushed our buttons. And one of the things that he would say is, I hate myself. I want to kill myself. And this is the thing that a kid is saying at a very young age. A very young age. Kind of age where, like, kids shouldn't be thinking about killing himself. I mean, no one should, but I am reminded of the Norm Macdonald, the, sadly and recently deceased Norm Macdonald, whom we all loved so well. He had a joke about suicide, about how, like, a lot of times if you're at a funeral for someone who committed suicide, someone will say, like, oh, I don't know how, or I don't understand why he would do such a thing. And to which Norm Macdonald says, you don't? You haven't heard about life? How it's just awful and gets worse and worse day by day, and it ends in a catastrophe? And imagine someone saying that in Norm Macdonald's voice. His voice, amazing. Like, he was an incredible, incredible comedian. One of the funniest people ever to walk the face of the earth. A comedic gift like no other. Anyway, but yeah, to a certain extent, like, we know about life, and we know that it can feel hopeless, and we know that, like, I think there's a thing that happens when people die, and I don't like it. And to a certain degree, I've been doing it this whole time. But when you take someone else's death and you make it all about yourself, and you're like, yeah, there's a dead body here, but what about me? And that is that is the more selfish thing. Oh, I'm thinking of, Maria Bamford from Weakness is the Brand. Her great comedy special, things she had to say about suicide as well. And she's someone who's a lot closer to it because she has been institutionalized because she was suicidal. So, yeah. She is someone who knows exactly what it's like. Oh, 16 leather, that's sweet. Take that down. Sorry, playing a game and talking about some heavy business at the same time. Um, but yeah, uh, suicide is heavy business. It is, because it is the one type of death that we can all make about ourselves to a certain degree, because we're all terrified, because the killer is you. You were the killer the whole time. You know, the call was coming from inside the house. That scares us, and it should. But it's a hard thing to deal with. It's a hard thing to cope with. But if I can say or do anything about it, I can say this. To have mental health issues, to have mental health struggles, to even have suicidal thoughts is normal. To have thoughts of self-harm in any way is normal. It's not good, but it's normal. You are normal. And because you are normal, you can be okay. But you're not going to be okay by yourself. You're going to need help. And, you know, like, it's, one of the other things that happens when someone commits suicide is that you, because we always make it about ourselves, because, like, people might say, like, oh, it's so selfish for people to have that impulse to be like, oh, well, what could I have said and what could I have done that could have made this person change their mind and turn around and not do what they did? Well, here's the fun thing is that there's probably nothing, you know, like you did it. Like whatever you could have done, you did. The fact that you were there for that person at all in any capacity, that's the most that could have been done. You know, and because the real struggle was an internal one that we did not see, that we were not party to. And yeah, it's hard to think about because it scares us, because it makes us wonder, what about me? Because sometimes I don't feel good. And sometimes I know I'm not happy. And I feel like I have no control over my life, and I feel like things aren't going to get better. And sometimes I might think about hurting myself. And sometimes I think about how better off it'll be when I'm dead. You know, common thoughts that people have that are normal. They're not good, but they're normal. And if you get the help that you need, get medicated if you need medicated, get therapy if you need therapy, do what you can to make sure that you're going to be okay. I just have to say, I'll give you a memory from my friend's funeral, the one who killed himself when I was in high school. My like really good friend's little brother. At his funeral, one of his best friends, like, so it was a religious funeral. And people were being very staunchly religious about it. But they opened up and were letting anyone who had something to say about the deceased come forward and say something about the deceased. And my friend Dan, who was very close friends with the person who had died, he listened to all these people saying like, "Oh, what a sad thing to have happened. What a tragedy. What a sad occurrence." But, you know, also saying a lot of church things like, "Oh, we can see him again, and things are going to work out on an eternal scale or on a grand scale." And my friend Dan got up and yelled in church in a way that was certainly viewed by many as not appropriate for a funeral. But what he got up and yelled was heartfelt, and it was right. He said, "This is not okay. We are not okay. Because this happened, this can happen. And what we aren't talking about is how to keep it from ever happening again." This is what he said. He said, "Look to the people around you. Are they okay? Do they tell you that they're okay? Do you listen to them so that you know when they're lying about being okay?" He said, "But we have to do better by each other because of this." And he was right. He was so right. We have to do better. When things like this happen, it is unfortunately too late for this student, this former student of mine. Like, I certainly can't say or do anything that will affect the outcome of his life now. I can't. The time is gone. He is gone. There is no further opportunity as far as he is concerned. But I have other students. And I have other students that I know struggle and have hard times and go through hard things. And I can try to help them. And one of the best ways that I can do that is to not stop talking about this. I know that there are people who wish I would, and I'm sorry. If you are fine enough in your life that you don't need to hear me talking about this, then good for you. I'm glad. I really am. I'm glad for you that I don't have to worry about you. But there are people that I know I need to be worried about. And I worry that this is not the only time that I'm going to hear about a student or former student doing something like this, or attempting something like this, or being in a state of mind where they want to do something like this. It's not the last time. And I hate that. I hate that that's not the last time. I'm going to teach a lot of kids. I'm going to be around a while. I'm going to teach a lot of students. And I'm not going to save them all, you know? I'm not going to make personal connections with every single one the same way that I have with some of my students. And there are students that I'm going to be very frustrated by because I'm going to try and help them and I won't be able to. But if I can do anything, I can never shut up about this mental health thing. You get the help that you need because there are people who need you. You may not think so, you may not feel it, but trust. Like, there is no one so downtrodden that if they committed suicide, that there would not be people who would be severely negatively affected by that. That's just facts. That's just the way it is. Anyway, people, take care of yourselves. Oh, I just love the way that appears. Okay, let's do that again. Nay, castle? Castle. Anyway, people, take care of yourselves. Like, please do. And take care of each other. And listen to each other. And help each other. I hate to say this, even in the face of what has happened, but we as a species are never going to hit 0 suicides. I hate that that's true, but we're not going to hit that number. I wish we could. I wish we could. The optimist in me is like, come on, buddy, we can hit 100. Like, we can make it happen. We can't. We can't save everybody. We're not going to be able to save everybody. But we can save ourselves. And we can save a couple or a few people around us. And that's about it. We can help save those other people. They have to save themselves too. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the mental health struggle is real. And you are not going to feel good every day of your life. There are going to be days that suck. And there are going to be months that suck. And for God's sakes, there might be decades that suck. But then there are going to be decades that are good. There are going to be times that are good in decades that suck. You will have moments that are good in decades that suck. And guess what? Those times make life worth living. Don't forget it. Do not forget it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm rambling. I'm droning. I feel bad about the student that I've lost. But it's not about me. It's about him. It's about his family. It's about his closest friends. It's about the people who've been affected the most. Like I said, I'm an ancillary figure in his life. But you know what? That doesn't mean I'm not affected. Someone you know commits suicide, guess what? Shakes you up. It shakes you up every time. Do you know why? Because your brain can't handle the idea that you would do the same under a certain set of circumstances. Yeah, it's true. We don't like to think about it, but it's true. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. I can't stress it enough. Talk to someone. Talk to a professional if you can get them. Talk to anyone who will listen if you can't. Anyway, that's it for this one, people. I need to disconnect. I need to get out of this, and I need to go to bed. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Okay. Bye.